Our topic today is about the Oshabti. As Egyptologists know, the word Oshabti comes from the ancient Egyptian word Oshab, meaning responder, and some translate it as companion. It's a type of small figure, often made in a simple manner, crafted from various materials, such as gold, wood, ceramics, pottery, bronze, faience, and clay. Oshabtis are of two types. One represents the deceased as a mummy, sometimes wrapped in a linen and assumed the Osiris pose with the crossed arms on their chests, holding a sickle and axe. This is the position of the god of the afterlife, responsible for irrigation, agriculture, industry, and the cultivation of fields. They are placed in tombs next to the deceased to perform the tasks they were supposed to perform in the afterlife. In the field of spirits or souls, the fields of Iaro, while the deceased devotes himself to his happiness and life with the gods. This type of statues of the deceased is made as closely as possible to their lifetime appearance, so that the deceased spirits can be identified by their appearance on the Oshapti, as the real appearance would have changed due to mummification or decomposition. This type of Oshapti serves as a proxy or substitute for these tasks. The second type of Oshapti is for everyday services, and the forms and tasks of his category are the same as those of the real servants in their earthly life. Some sources state that the first appearance of the Oshapti's concept and its placement with the deceased began during the Old Kingdom with two life-sized statues. These were simpler in appearance and made of limestone and painted in color. This was the earliest form of Oshapti. During the Middle Kingdom, their use was limited. Then the number gradually increased from 2 to 4 to 17 and more, until it reached 365, the number of days in the year that each Oshapti served one day. Later, their use became more widespread during the New Kingdom, and the number continued to gradually increase according to the position and status of the deceased, reaching 400 in Tutankhamun's tomb and 700 or more in the late kingdom. They were placed in boxes or scattered throughout the tomb. Each deceased was required to work in the Yarrow field. But what if he wasn't a farmer in his earthly life? For example, what if he was a writer, doctor, carpenter, or blacksmith, or any other profession? Here emerged the idea of creating small Oshapti statues to perform agricultural tasks in place of the deceased. The inscriptions often appear in a single row, from right to left or vice versa, or vertically starting from under the chain to the feet, and possibly on the front and back of the Oshapti. Some of them consist of sentences or a complete text covering the entire body of the Oshapti, and this is the most valuable. The inscriptions usually contain the deceased titles and names, as well as part of chapter 6 of the Book of the Dead, or as it was commonly called, the soul's departure into the daytime. This chapter includes an incantation requesting the statue to answer the call to work in a place of the deceased. This chapter starts always with O Oshapti. O Oshapti, appointed for my sake, if I'm called or tasked to perform any of the tasks assigned to me, then you shall act on my behalf on every occasion related to watering the farmland, sowing the grain, and moving the sand dunes, from east to west. On every occasion, you must say, "Here I am." Another example is the text of one of the incantations to the one called Nachtj Hoti, Ho Shabti. Let the god Osiris, the true voiced one, Nachtj Hoti, shine forth and say, O Shabti, when the census or counting is conducted and you are asked to perform all that must be done in the cemetery, work in the fields, and water the river banks. This text express the deceased Nahdij Hoti command to his Ushabti statue, asking it to perform hard work in the afterlife, such as working in the fields of the cemetery and watering the river banks. This is done after the census and counting are completed. In other words, the deceased gives his orders and the Oshabti carries them out within the framework of ancient Egyptian religious beliefs, which viewed these statues as substitute for the deceased in performing the required tasks in the afterlife. Oshatis in general are among the most frequently discovered archaeological finds by archaeologists, and they are spread between the Egyptian museums and international ones. I hope this explanation is sufficient and comprehensive. Murhaf Baghdadi.